Welcome back, YouTube. Today we're going to be doing a deck review of a deck consisting only of cards from the Lair of Darkness structure deck. So this deck will only cost you $30 because you just have to purchase 3 Lair of Darkness structure decks to get 3 of each card. And it's a pretty good deck. I've used it online in hundreds of duels. Haven't played it in person yet, but I have a lot of data to go from to say what it's good against, what it's bad against. But first, I'd like to announce another giveaway, our second of 3 Sky Striker Ace Kagari giveaways. All you have to do is be subscribed to the channel and comment on this video with what content for Yu-Gi-Oh! You'd like to see in the future. Alright, so the deck starts with Darkest Diabolos, and that is going to be your boss monster that you want on the field. So he cannot be tributed, cannot be targeted with card effects, and he's got some pretty interesting effects that you can choose from. So if one of your dark monsters on your side of the field is tributed, you can special summon this card from the graveyard, or you can special summon it from your hand, even if it wasn't in your hand when the tribute happened. So I'll show a great combo with that later. And also, if he's already on the field, you can just tribute 1 dark monster, and your opponent places 1 card from their hand on either the top or the bottom of the deck. So if your opponent only has 1 card in the hand, this could essentially end the game. And so it's it's just really good. And when you tribute 1 dark monster, you can tribute one of your opponent's monsters, and I'll get into that later when you combine it with the effect of another card. I suppose I should skip to kind of the main focus of the deck too, which is the Lair of Darkness card, which allows you to tribute your opponent's monsters, essentially. And also, for every tribute made during a turn, there is a torment token put on whoever side of the field it is their turn. So if you tribute 2 monsters on your turn, you get 2 torment tokens on your side of the field that will later be used for tributes for other great things like Diabolos' effect. Before I go any further, I just want to make sure to give credit to Simo, another Yu-Gi YouTuber. He's the one who I got this deck from a few months ago, and this is the only deck I really have experience with at this point. Pretty good though for $30. So this is Arma. You're going to run 3 of these, as well as 3 Darkest Diabolos and 3 Layers of Darkness. Arma will search for Lair of Darkness. You can also tribute him or tribute another monster when they're already on the field to draw 1 card. If you tribute another monster, though, you can search your deck for Diabolos. And like I said before, you tribute Arma, Diabolos comes to your hand, but since something was tributed and Diabolos is now in your hand, you can special summon him. So it's actually a really nice combo to have going there. So actually, I should say, you have to tribute a different monster besides Arma. Because if you tribute just Arma, you cannot search for Diabolos. And then we have 3 Liliths. Lilith is really good. Her attack becomes 1,000 if you just normal summon her. But her effect is pretty good in that you can tribute 1 monster. Also with Lair of Darkness, you can tribute 1 of their monsters to bring out kind of like a random trap from your deck. And we don't have a lot of traps, so we end up getting a really good one pretty much no matter what. And so the whole idea, or the good part about Lilith's effect as well, is that it's quick effect. So you can activate it during your opponent's turn. They summon something and you can just tribute it away, and you get a trap out of the deal. Alright, so then we also have 3 Stygian Street Patrols. So you can kind of just banish this from the graveyard and summon almost all the cards that we talked about up to this point. Arma, Lilith. It's just a really good way to special summon those cards. So this is probably my least favorite card of the deck. Duke Shade, the Sinister Shadow Lord. Good defense, but you contribute any number of dark monsters on your field and special summon this. I don't really use that effect very often. I'm considering moving this down to just like a one of. Definitely my least favorite part of the deck. I don't use it that much. So if you're going to make it a modification, I think you start here. Then we have two Phantom of Chaos cards. This, you have to banish a card like Arma from your graveyard, and then this card essentially becomes Arma for the turn. It can't attack directly though, which is a little unfortunate, but it's really good just to keep finding ways to use the effect of Arma or Lilith or whatever you want. Then we have one Prometheus. This is kind of a card, very situational, where you can just like banish a bunch of dark cards from your graveyard, and this attack becomes insane. It's very situational, but I've won a few duels with it. Other times it's just kind of a card that you contribute, or a discard, something like that. Then we have Vanity's Fiend, another card that I'm not super happy with. He just prevents special summoning, but it's kind of a bad thing for both you and your opponent, so very situational. If you're kind of in a bind, then Vanity's Fiend might be a good card to draw. Then we have one Tour Guide. Tour Guide brings out Lilith, but keep in mind that Lilith's effect is negated when that comes out due to Tour Guide's effect, but it doesn't really matter because you can still tribute with Lilith. It's just nothing happens after the tribute, but that's a good thing, right? Because if you Lair of Darkness out already on the field, you contribute one of their cards with Lilith, and then that's it. You know, Lilith has 2,000 attack and essentially no effect other than that. So that's a really cool combo, which a lot of people think is not how the game is played. They don't think it's the right rules, but it definitely is. It's well documented that you can do that combo. Then we have a Legendary Mahu Garzet, another kind of end game type of guy like Prometheus, where you contribute all the cards that you have on your side of the field, and he becomes an absolute beast. He takes the attack of basically all the cards that you tributed. And it inflicts piercing battle damage, so that's kind of the reason to bring him out. If there's just one defense monster on the other side, you can basically win the duel immediately. Alright, then we have three Hand Destructions. It's kind of just like a good way to get through more cards with this deck. Same with Allure of Darkness, no brainer. You've got all dark monsters, so might as well use it. Then we've got kind of a stalling card, or a card that you can use for more tributes. This just summons 2 tokens on your side of the field. It's quick effect, so you can use it at the end of your opponent's turn. Now all of a sudden you've got 2 tributes to use for Arma, or Lilith, or Darkest Diabolos. Then we've got Recurring Nightmare. So notice that Arma and Lilith both have, if I can find a Lilith, well, Arma and Lilith both have 0 defense, so this card brings them back from the graveyard to your hand, which is just great, because those are the cards that you want to see. Alright, so this is probably the card that I've won the most duels immediately with. Just, there's so many decks now that search for cards, so someone will search for, like, I don't know, Sky Striker Mobilize Engage, for example, and you see that they add it to their hand because they have to prove it to you. And then you just flip this up, say Sky Striker Mobilize Engage, and then they basically lose that card. And it ends combos like crazy. And other times I've played against like Blue Eyes decks, and you just say Blue Eyes, and all their cards go to the graveyard, and the game's over. People just usually leave if I do this, sometimes, if it's too devastating. Then we've got Darklight. It's kind of... not the best card, but it comes with the deck, and you know, it's good. It's good enough to help you out in some situations. So you tribute 1 dark monster with 1,500 or more attack, so you can just use your opponents. I think the ruling is that you have to control at least 1 card in order to tribute your opponents, so I have to check that. Destroy all monsters that were special summoned this turn. So it can kind of end combos abruptly, but it's kind of easily negated, so not the best. And this is probably the card that's won me the second most duels. Basically, if you get to play this card, the duel's over. So you have to tribute 1 2,500 or more attack monster, which is going to be Diabolos for this deck, or you contribute your opponent's monster, and with Lair of Darkness, and then you declare either spell or trap, and your opponent loses all of those in their hand. So if you say spell, they lose all the spells in their hand and the spells they draw over the next few hands. So I've beaten super meta decks before, like Trickstar, Sky Striker, and all that stuff, because they rely so much on their Sky Striker spells, and they're all out of the game. So if you can get Diabolos out quickly with Arma, like I talked about, and then if you are lucky enough to draw into this, you win the duel almost immediately. So this is kind of a luck thing, because you can only play one. It's limited to one, so kind of a luck thing, but always good to have that in the deck. Definitely one of the best cards. And of course, the deck comes with a Torment token each, so just bring 3 with you. That way, it'll be easier to deal with all of the Lair of Darkness tokens that come out. So I think I touched on kind of most of the strategy related to this deck. If you guys are interested in learning more about my experience with Lair of Darkness, if you're thinking about buying it, I'd be more than happy to post some more videos related to it. It's really good. $30, I think this is the best deck you'll find out there. There are slight variations. I encourage you to look out for other Yu-Gi tubers posting deck reviews and deck profiles. I call this a deck review because I got this from SEMO when I knew very little about the game. I hadn't played since I was very young, so definitely an awesome idea. Look into Lair of Darkness. It's an awesome deck, even if you're not planning on running the 3 of all this stuff. All right, thanks a lot, guys.